Greetings and welcome to my video series about geography called At Last the World in Your Hands. In this first video, I'll be reading about Venice, the phenomenal city on the lagoon, Niagara Falls, on the border between two countries, the Galapagos Islands, the archipelago of the giant tortoises, Japan, the land of cherry blossoms, and technology, Hawaii, the Garden of the Pacific, and the Dead Sea Part 1, where no one can sink. Venice, the phenomenal city on the lagoon. The extremely well-developed tourism in Venice encouraged the Venetians to preserve their architecture and traditions. During the gondola competition on the Canale Grande, the locals support their favorite teams by dressing up in their colors. Venice, from a reinforced fort to a World Trade Center. The cities situated on the islands in the Venetian lagoon play an important role in the growth and glory of Venice. Nowadays, however, it is a serious annoyance for transportation of goods and services. The people who founded Venice were refugees from the Paduan area. During the 4th century, they hid there from the incoming barbarian attacks, and transformed the swampy lagoon into a city of worldwide significance. Between the 7th and 15th centuries, while they were ruled by the doges, or dukes of Venice, who were elected by the aristocracy, Venice becomes the most important Mediterranean power. Venice gained a lot of riches by trading with spices from the Orient. These riches allowed the doges to build beautiful palaces, churches, and gorgeous residences, which today are tourist attractions. At the end of the 15th century, however, the decline of Venice began, and in 1797, they were nothing more than a bargaining chip between France and Austria. In that same year, Napoleon gave Venice to Austria, and it was not until 1866 that Venice became part of Italy. At present, thanks to the biennial International Film Festival, Venice is one of Italy's main cultural centers, constantly being filled with tourists. In the meantime, La Serenissima, or the Holy Republic as the Venetians called it, became a symbol of destruction and downfall. As well as that, during the months of January and February, a thick fog covers Venice. This depressing atmosphere is reconstructed by Luchino Visconti in his 1971 film Death in Venice. The climate of Venice. It is warm and moist during the summer and cold and damp during the winter. The average temperature in January is between 0 and 6 degrees Celsius, and the average temperature in August is between 18 and 27 degrees Celsius. Some hot tourist spots are Piazza and Basilica San Marco, the Palace of the Doges, Ponte di Rialto Bridge, Museo Correr, and Gallerie dell'Accademia di Venezia. Some interesting facts about Venice. The Venetian merchant and philosopher Marco Polo was the first European to travel to the Far East and is the first European to describe the countries and people that lived there. The novel, Death in Venice, by Thomas Mann, was recreated for the big screen by Luchino Visconti. This movie popularized the darker atmosphere of the city on the lagoon. The term commedia dell'arte, or comedian, got its origins in Venice. This style was revitalized by Carlo Goldini, who was a lawyer. However, at the age of 31, he begins his career as an author and dies in Paris in 1793. On the Canale Grande, the main waterway of Venice, there are only 3 bridges that allow you to cross over from one side to the other. These being the Bridge of the Academy of Art, Ponte Rialto, and the Scalzi Bridge. The main waterway of Venice is the Canale Grande, which is roughly 4 kilometers long. On its banks lie gorgeous palaces, such as Ca' d'Oro, or the Golden House. The city of bridges and palaces. The capital on the lagoon is built on many islands, 117 in total. Thanks to its geographical location, it is one of the most visited cities in the world. During the first half of the 18th century, the development of a new art style began. It reflected the interesting landscapes of the city and the ordinary lives of the people. This area of art was called vedute, or landscape. The most renowned artist that used the style was Giovanni Antonio Canal, or Canaletto, who was born in 1697 and died in 1768. The paintings of Canaletto are put on stamps, a nice little souvenir to take home from Venice. Modern tourists take many photos, videos, and buy souvenirs of the various places in Venice. One of the most famous being the Palace of the Doges on Piazza San Marco, St. Mark's Square. Near the palace there are many other interesting sites, such as Campanile, or Bell Tower, tall building from the 7th century, the clock tower from the 15th century, and the old and new lion statues from the 16th century. In the Palace of Doges, for a long period of time, all the people in authority of the Republic worked there. At the end of the 16th and beginning of 17th century, a prison was added near the palace, and a small bridge connects the two buildings. This bridge became famous because of the writers of the 19th century who called it the Bridge of Sighs. The sighs refer not only to disappointed lovebirds, but also the prisoners that are being led from the palace to their prison cell. The statistics of Venice. The city area is 414.6 kilometers squared. The population in 2017 was 261,905. And in 2006 it was 269,780. And the population density is 631 people per kilometer squared. In a nutshell, the main religion of Venice is Catholic. The main language is Italian with a Venetian dialect. The most important areas are Cannaregio, Castello, San Marco, San Paolo, Dorsoduro, and Lido. And the main airport is the Marco Polo Airport in Tessera, which is 13 kilometers northeast of Venice.